Right? I'm just waiting for it to finish its thing.
Hey, everyone. Today is December 12th, and this is the meeting of the Design Review Committee. My name is Amy Perutsky, and I'm the chair of the Design Review Committee. This open meeting of the Design Review Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to the Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on March 29th, 2023. All members of the Design Review Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This act allows the Design Review Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please answer in the affirmative. Lisa Maselli,
Here.
Mark McMenamy,
Here.
and I'm here. Staff, Lori Connors,
Here.
Bob Federico.
Here.
Okay. Meeting business ground rules. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant to speak. We have no applicants today. And it is now 9:14. And welcome, everyone. We're going to go a little out of order today because I want to make sure we get to two of the items. I want to make sure we get to the sign bylaws because they'll be in front of the board next week. The planning board meets on Tuesday night. And then we want to discuss the municipal sign because the select board meets on Monday night. And we want to make sure that is finalized. And I'm going to start with the sign bylaw because I have it up. I don't know if that's okay. But we'll definitely get to both of them today. I don't actually see a share button, Lori.
Yeah, let me, you should be all set now.
I have share and share screen options. It looks different than it usually does. So I just want to make sure I share the right file. So share screen options.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it's different today.
Hmm.
Do you see the?
Yeah.
Yep, you do.
Okay, good. I'm going to move it because my screen has too many things up. Like everything. Can you see all my background things or just the sign bylaw?
Just the sign bylaw.
Okay. All right. So hopefully we can go through this quick. We did do a lot of this last year. Mark and I went through some of the wording last week. And so the first one on the list is banner sign. It's a non-rigid sign. It's already included under temporary, so not all banners are probably temporary by definition. So we just changed temporary to non-rigid. And vinyl is a type of plastic, right? Mark, is that what you mentioned?
Yeah.
So we didn't need vinyl because it's a type of plastic.
Yeah.
Well, you could put vinyl like. How would
That'd be plastic like also. As long as it's non-rigid, it's a fabric.
Okay.
Or vinyl, right? Is non-rigid.
Right. I mean, vinyl can be rigid, so.
Yeah. Okay. Bob, did you see any problems with that?
I'm having a hard time trying to figure out where I've seen a banner or vinyl sign that's not temporary.
Hmm.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find an example of it where I can, non-rigid sign is fine because banners are typically flexible, and they don't, because of the nature of the fabric, they don't hold up out in the weather, so they're not durable, for anything better for like maybe 6 months or something like that. And then they really get tattered. So I don't know if we need to get rid of temporary.
Back. It was added. It was something we were adding,
Yeah,
but we can add it back.
I
too.
think the example I know of would be on Richdale's where that sign has been there for years.
Right.
the one on Richdale,
Yeah,
that's a metallic sign, isn't it?
No.
That giant sign is vinyl?
Yep.
Really? I was always under the impression it was steel or some sort of like that.
Maybe you're talking about two different things, because there's the sign that's in the sign box, which definitely isn't a banner.
No,
Right.
I'm referring to the one that's mounted on the wall next to the front door. It's fairly good size. I mean, it's basically oversized, but it's been there so long. You probably have some sort of grandfathering to it.
Oh, I hope not. It's got all sorts of product on it and everything else. I didn't think we were supposed to have anything like that.
Well,
Right.
don't we want our banners to be temporary?
Yes,
So I just leave that in there.
How about flipping it and just put non-rigid and then temporary next to it?
Non-rigid temporary sign, we could. And then we had included it down here under temporary sign because sandwich boards don't say temporary on them. So Mark had included under temporary sign that a sign that's used temporarily is not permanently mounted, including sandwich board signs and banner signs.
that works.
Yep.
So by taking the temporary out of the top, he added it down here.
Yeah,
But I know it might not matter to leave it up here too, just because then it stands out.
But I would put non-rigid first because that's more the body of the sign.
Do you care, Mark, if we leave it up here?
yeah, no, I think my main thing was taking vinyl out because it was redundant. So
I think
Yeah.
you need a comma after non-rigid.
Okay. Great. So on to the next one, where we have projecting signs. It says projecting or blade sign, so we added blade sign, see projecting sign, just in case someone's looking for blade sign.
Fine.
And then we get to flag, fabric, and that makes sense.
Why are we eliminating standard? Because I thought we discussed that last year, that we needed to leave that in.
Well, Mark and I, well, we looked it up and the standard had to do with like the UK. It had to do with English signs. I don't know, what would you consider a standard? When we Googled it, it had nothing to do with like America.
yeah, it was like the Queen's crest that they fly when she's in residence.
I'll look it up.
So if that means something different, then that's fine. I didn't know of anything.
wouldn't that also kind of fall under the category of a seal or an emblem?
That's why he added seal
Yeah,
instead of standard, because standard was like UK.
I think standard, if you're referring to what they use over in England, might be confusing to us Americans.
Right, well, that's why he was
Yeah.
taking it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving me all sorts of things other than what I want.
I think I typed in like Royal Standard to find what I thought it had meant.
Laurie, what do you think it's supposed to mean?
Well, I just thought. Well, it says under Wikipedia, a war ensign, also known as a military flag, battle flag, or standard, is a variant of a national flag for use by a country's military forces when on land. The nautical equivalent is a naval ensign.
Hmm.
Doesn't sound like anything we'd ever use.
Yeah, I mean, I have nautical flags on my car, but they're just letters.
And that's a signal we looked up, right? Is a signal nautical?
Signal could be nautical, it could be like the SOS or something like that, so,
But I think it's covered under signal, seal, or emblem.
yeah, I think you're right. I agree.
So in the next definition, we added freeze because we had a long discussion. It was a meeting you weren't here, Bob, but we were talking about over by where new Lowe's is and Ace Hardware. What are those? Are those wall signs? Are they on a parapet? It was a discussion about a parapet. And there was one I thought that maybe it's a parapet that they're on, and maybe it's a wall, but then Lori had brought up that it's a freeze. So we decided to add freeze to the definition.
Yeah, a frieze is a type of a wall. It is not a parapet. Parapet is kind of freestanding on a base, most commonly seen in brick row houses and townhouses. You may even see them in Hudson. You see them all over the place in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where you get two buildings that are touching each other, and up at the roof, there's a 2 foot or 3 foot tall wall. That's the parapet, or something across the front, to make the front of the building look more square. But a frieze is type of a wall. It's usually on a gable end. It's I think decorative fascia, false mansards, or parapets on covered walkways. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then the next one down, the gasoline canopy sign was already there from last year.
Yep.
And then Mark thought maybe it should be fuel canopy sign because, we're going electric and do you want gas? Should we have gasoline or should we have fuel?
Well, there's also diesel, which is a type of fuel. So,
Yeah.
if you have if you have a fueling island and it's all diesel, if there's a gas canopy sign, then that could raise a question. So I
I
think,
was thinking more about EV stations because some of those do have roofs now.
yeah, if that's the case, I would probably add, gasoline slash fuel slash EV charging station canopy sign. Because it's all in the kind of the same category. Am I right, Mark?
Yeah,
It's a canopy over some sort of refueling situation for a vehicle, whether it's gas, diesel, or EV.
yep.
They all serve the same purpose.
So then over here where it says gasoline, it should also say
Uh,
fuel.
Yeah, I would do that, gasoline, fuel, or EVs, and I would keep the top one just to say fuel canopy signs,
Oh, that's a good idea too.
because then you don't have all that on the,
And then underneath it talks about all three.
right.
What do you guys think?
Sounds
Bob
good to
and Mark?
me.
It's easier to read.
I think we're just lucky that gasoline and fuel fall in the same place in alphabetical order.
Oh, you're always looking at stuff like that, Mark.
There were no changes from last year.
What? What? No changes?
These are here from last year that we discussed. So Mark and I didn't have anything, but does anybody else have any? It's fuel, monument, blade sign, definitions.
I think sign is added, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's highlighted on mine, but not on yours. I don't know why.
Oh, no, I think the projecting sign was always there. So we just, some people call it a blade, some people call it projecting.
Yeah,
So we added or blade sign. Like projecting definition was always in the book, but it's not, we never allowed them anywhere. But the definition was there.
okay.
Monument sign was not there.
Yeah, so I think anything underlined is added.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Then roof sign, we took off the parapet part because there were some signs on like Blake Street where they had parapets and people, some of the signs we thought included parapets, but this is up for discussion, like, do we want to include signs on parapets or not? And they're not allowed right now on parapets? Is that what it is? Oh, no, it was. They are allowed on parapets in gambrels now. The sign bylaw change we had last year was adding that they're not allowed on parapets
Yeah,
or.
yeah, they were included under wall signs and okay. So wall signs included such things as parapet, lower slope of gambrel and mansard. So we're not considering those wall signs anymore.
Yep, because they're not walls. But
Well,
we
that's,
added in freeze to the
yeah,
wall sign.
okay, so we're keeping parapet there. So parapet is still a wall sign because it's a mini wall, so.
Do we, since it is a wall, we don't have to include the wording, right? Or including a sign such affixed to a parapet, or we do need to leave it there?
Well, I think it's a parapet or freeze is okay.
Well, I
Okay,
think down below, you're calling the parapet a wall sign, so here you can't include parapet as a roof sign. So
Right.
it can't be both,
Yeah.
it has to be one or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
so that's why it's crossed out, yeah.
So this is a bit of a change just because we're changing the lower slope of gambrel or mansard roof to a roof sign now instead of being spelled out as a wall sign. And it's one of those things where there isn't really any applications in town that I can think of anyway, where you'd want to put a sign on a gambrel or a mansard roof.
Well, that Richdale convenience, if you can't put the sign on the front wall or on the roof itself, all you have is that mansard overhang.
Yeah, but I think I was calling that a false mansard just because that building is mainly a flat roof building and that's a decorative feature.
Well, I've always kind of maintained that whenever you have a mansard, it is providing shelter for whatever it is underneath it. So I would consider it part of a roof. We had this discussion with the sign down at the restaurant is now Caloritos. It's had multiple iterations over the past few years. And they mounted a sign on it and we had to take them to task to have it removed, aside from the fact it was put up without a permit. But I remember a few years ago, we had a pretty lengthy discussion that, if it's a mansard or if it's a um, what is it? Gambrel or something like that, it is considered a roof sign.
Right. So we're taking that out of being a wall sign because it was written into our definition as a wall sign.
Yeah.
So I know you've been enforcing it that way. So we're just trying to make that consistent with it. But yeah, then there is the question like on Richdale's where that's covering a sidewalk.
Right.
It's not a true mansard because that, has attic space behind it usually. But
Right.
it's a false one or a
Mhm.
pseudo one. And I guess I'm having trouble understanding when it changes between a false mansard and a freeze. Because it's over a sidewalk over by Rockies, and this one's over a sidewalk, but one's a roof and one's more of a parapet or a freeze. So, if it wasn't shingles, if they did metal roofing on that, would it be okay? Or, I'm just trying to help clarify that because I'm confused on it.
I mean, like I said before, if it's a structure that provides cover to something underneath it, whether it's an interior part of a building or an exterior part of the building, I've always considered that a roof type structure. A wall is going to have to be vertical, essentially 90 degrees. Um, you know, um, Mansards and gambrels always have an angle to them.
Mhm.
So that's the way I've always interpreted it.
Hmm.
I think it's just a matter of getting the language to.
Yeah, I wanted to get ahead of this a little bit because if like Blue Square wants to put a sign Now they just added that, parapet, what do you call it? Mansard type feature
Yeah.
to the building.
Yeah,
And there's
They're
no
not gonna-
sidewalk under it, so,
yeah, they're not gonna get a permit to put anything on that.
okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't seem fair because Sammy's couldn't, so.
No, I mean, it's, like I said, I consider that a roof structure. Again, because it provides shelter to something underneath it. So if they were to apply to get a permit for, put something on there, I'm not gonna issue it.
I'll have to say, it looks nice with that on there.
Yeah,
Not a sign, not a sign, but the roof itself. looks nice.
yeah.
Okay.
But the degree makes perfect sense. I think you're right, Bob. Because the ones at Northborough Oil that owns that whole section, those are all straight up.
There's actually a section in the building code that makes the distinction between a wall and a roof structure. And it is a matter of degrees. And I think it's, I don't know, I forget what the degrees is, like 15 to 20 degrees. Anything beyond that, less than 15 degrees is considered a wall, and beyond it is. But I think in our case, we're better off to keep it at 90 degrees, which differentiates a wall from a roof structure.
Okay,
Okay. So,
But we might have to work on some wording somewhere.
Yeah.
well, then, if you put the 90, if you put the degrees in it, I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, we could just say vertical, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where should I put it?
you'll have to defer to the men on this one. You want it under roof sign, or do you want it?
I
I
think I'd
think
put
we
it under
should have
wall.
the language consistent with the way that Bob's enforcing it.
Yeah. What are we gonna, is that under the roof sign? Sign attached with it. That's your.
And I think it'd be under wall sign, because does say vertical exterior surface already, though.
Okay,
So the
maybe we
wall
don't
sign
need to.
already includes vertical. That's a good catch. So then roof
Yeah.
sign.
folks, I need to step out real quick. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Okay. We could also let Bob work on this and get back to us and, we're not closing the zoning bylaw meetings next week at the planning board. So if we say that Bob is tweaking how he wants to, update that, I'll just leave it as is. And maybe Bob will, come up with something.
Well, yeah, I think leave it with the cross out, because it sounds like it's kind of a contradiction in these things. I don't think anybody noticed until just recently.
Mhm.
So, and if
Yep.
he's enforcing it one way, then that's fine. We want to change it to the way he's enforcing it and interpreting it. Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues with anybody. I don't think it will.
well, I think the harder part for any person coming in with their sign is that if they see it like Taza, well, I see that Richdale has one, why can't I have one? That's the harder
Yeah.
part, because it's.
Right, and that's the only exception right now. And I have a feeling that maybe this wording was added to a wall sign when Honey Farms was built there.
Right, could have been.
I think the
Yeah.
building would have been built differently had, yeah, because you'd want a sign on a building like that, like
Mhm.
right on that frieze, basically. So they would have just made it vertical.
Well, it was a two-story building at the time, certainly a corner building that has is now one story. It's blocked by the eastbound traffic.
I don't think that was ever a two-story building.
I thought it was. I thought it was burned.
Well, yeah, the old Divine building was multi-story. I think it was three-story. But yeah, Honey Farms built there. So it was originally a Honey Farms that had a stripe. I was looking at the old Google Maps history of it, and I found pictures of it where it was the Honey Farms
Mm.
that had that gambrel feature to it. and a sign on it, a small sign. Now, there was probably some compromise made with the town when they widened Route 20 there and put the turn lane, because they used to have a very large, well, not, large by for Northborough standards, Honey Farm sign right on the corner, and they lost that when we added the turn lane.
But they put it next to, right now it's next to the liquor store, isn't it?
Yeah, no, both of them were there though, back.
Oh, gosh, really? They had that much
Yeah.
signage for that corner?
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh.
Well,
While
then,
we're waiting.
all over the building too.
While we're waiting for Bob, I think we should wait for Bob to come back before finishing the sign bylaw. But should we just approve the minutes until he gets back?
A good idea.
Because I think, I don't want to keep going with the sign bylaw and have him have a question with it.
Yes, good idea.
Okay, so did I just change this? Can you guys see my change when I changed the, or did it stay with the sign
I think
bylaw?
you have to unshare and then share again.
There.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it shared. I just pushed the wrong button. I was curious if it came up. So on the agenda, we have approval of meeting minutes from October 16th, 2024,
Mhm.
and there were no changes.
Nope. Pretty
Do I have a
sure.
motion?
Yeah,
Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 16th, 2024?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote. Lisa Maselli,
Aye.
Mark McMenamy,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, the second set of minutes were November 21st, 2024. I think did I send in some changes for those?
I
Yeah.
sent,
I received some changes. I think they were emailed out.
Yes,
Okay.
they were,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Lisa, I don't understand what you said
oh, there
for
was
the
just,
change.
there was a two, the word TO.
Mhm.
Looks like it would have been taken off because it was the way the sentence read. It was the second to last paragraph, first sentence,
Okay.
but I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, the next discussion.
Yes.
She's right. It should say the next discussion was parking.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yes. Okay.
So if you could just delete that.
Okay.
It changed with Amy's edits.
Okay.
So it didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I
Thank you.
sent it over. But
Okay.
beyond that, and I've said this before to a lot of people, Michelle, I love the minutes. I love them. So I told Laurie last night,
Thank
oh my
you.
God, we found the right solution.
Thanks. My job is safe for a little while.
Let's hire that AI to go up to select board.
Oh, God.
Great. So are there any other changes to the minutes? No.
I didn't have any others.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the November 21st, 2024 minutes as amended?
So moved.
Lisa moves,
Seconded.
Mark seconds. Roll call vote. Lisa Maselli,
Aye.
Mark McMenamy,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So both sets of minutes were approved. We don't have Bob yet back, so I'm trying to think. Should we go on? Lisa, you had sent email.
I sent you emails. I hope you guys can open them. There'd be three things. There would be two. I photographed two of them, and then one of them's in Word.
Okay,
It would be everybody. Mark got it, Lori got it, Michelle got it.
that was this morning, right?
Yeah, that was this morning, just before the meeting.
Okay, so if everybody, I can't share an email.
Can you just take it out and put it onto your, download it?
I can download the document. I can't download the email.
No, you wouldn't have to do the email, just the document,
Okay.
the two photographs. Because
All
it
right.
doesn't say a lot.
Okay, I'm downloading the document right now. This is a letter, Lisa had, thank you, Lisa. She had worked on this municipal sign. And it goes along with the downtown revitalization and a cohesive downtown. And we were gonna write a letter as a design review committee. The Board of Selectmen will be meeting Monday night, and they are discussing ARPA items. So this is going to be hopefully funded by ARPA.
Well, 3 of the signs.
Oh, 3 of the signs, okay. And I can let you speak to it. I'm just trying to open it.
Have it
Okay,
open if you want me to share.
You got it?
either
I
way, it
probably
just
do it.
opened, so I think I can do it. Can you
There you
see it?
Yep. Well, it's big. You might want to, can you reduce the size? There you go. Oh, an error in spelling. What?
So it's really big? I'll
No.
just scroll through it.
Yeah, municipal building has got a spelling error.
Okay.
Project.
We have to add a year to the date.
Oh, that too.
Uh-huh.
I think I bet you that's someplace in the ethernet and it just took off.
Okay. Do you want to read it out loud, Lisa, since you wrote it, or do people just want to read it?
Yeah, design review committee belongs up underneath your name. It just changed.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
Yeah,
That's a word mess up. You know, it decides to drop things down. All right, so it would start out with, in accordance with the downtown revitalization and recommendations from the master plan, EDI 1-3, explore options for creating a fresh and cohesive identity or brand for the new downtown area, such as a unified signage and facades, including wayfinding and marketing materials. The design review committee researched and reviewed many options and after careful consideration unanimously voted to approve the municipal sign design as shown below. Business signage plays an important role in the life of any city, town, not only because it supports commerce and the livelihood of individual businesses, but also because the overall appearance of a town's signage helps communicate and even define its character. Think about the differences in signage between Boston and Las Vegas, for example, and what that signage says about each of those cities. Just as business signage plays an important role, so does municipal building signage by supporting the identity of a town. Municipal building signs help to connect your town community. Why does it have a little squiggly line? I don't know. Okay,
I want you to say our.
Well, there's probably like a space or something. It happens to me all the time.
is it? Okay,
Yeah, you can just ignore it.
all right,
Or delete it and retype it. Sometimes it fixes it.
okay. So then we go on to, do you have a variety of different age and style signage on your municipal building properties? What does that say about the town's pride? The first impression is the most impactful. In most cases, the first impression determines their association with your brand, product, or place. According to the New York Post, one can have 27 seconds to mark their first impression. According to research, 7 out of 10 Americans form their first opinion about someone or something before they even speak. And that someone should be up on the line there. Municipal building signs are the first impression of a town and its pride in the business of running a town. Is that not
You
supposed
shouldn't have an apostrophe in its.
right? Can you fix that, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at that. Okay. I'm not a word person, so it's hard for me to work in the product. How they appear, design-wise, sets a tone for the ambiance you want to project. After careful consideration, the design review committee has selected a sign style and specifications guide to help create a sense of community with our municipal building identification. Northborough's municipal signage can help to create a unity and a reinforcement of the village appearance that is part of the Northborough Master Plan. Again, this space. And I had actually put underneath next to plan in paren 2020. Do you want to do that? I mean, that's up to you.
Well, then if when the new one comes out, you have to update it. But this is just a dated memo, so it's fine.
Okay. So it's either one you want.
Either way.
All right, the letters of Town of Northborough, their addresses, and the seal would always be in black, and the department name and line surrounding the sign silhouette would match, but could be different colors, such as blue for the police department, green for the DPW, or the fire station, since their doors will be green, and so on. The granite post with no cap conjure a sense of strength with the carved lettering, giving depth and the gentle raised peak of the body of the sign subtly creates a calm statement on the wood-like white background. All signs for municipal buildings would have a smooth white surface.
Got a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Does this also account for all of the school signs? Because there's a fair amount of school signs that have been recently changed out. And they don't match what you're proposing for the municipal signs.
No, no, the school signs, the next page,
Okay,
the school signs and the park signs are different,
okay,
but they're comparative. So while you're looking at the photographs, I put to connect the town of Northborough theme, our school signs would be larger in size and match the newly created Peaslee school sign that has a wavy carved surface, taller granite post with no cap, and the school mascot would replace the town seal shown below, but it's really to the side. And then there's one more line for the town parks and our town and park entrance signs complement the municipal building and school signs. So there's like 3 different groups of signs.
Okay.
Being school, municipal entrance, and, well, school, municipal building, and then entrance and park.
Did you want to specify the type style?
I do have it, and I have it on a spec sheet, actually. And I do believe when you're looking at Ellsworth McAfee Park,
Yeah,
I think that's the same lettering. It's starts with a G, and I don't have the piece here, but I can show you the spec sheet I started to create. What I didn't do is give it a height, because each sign would, you have to kind of fit it in. So if we have 7 municipal building signs,
mhm,
you have to kind of work within that. Fire is pretty easy, police is pretty easy, but, the town offices as it's shown,
mhm.
the free library. So that, to be able to give them a height, that would be difficult, but because you're working in the confines of the size of the sign, that it would appear to be somewhat like the sample.
And this is just for right now, it's for the town offices, police, and library.
Correct. And there are 2 more pages after this to show what I brought to them, because I've already gone before the library trustees. I had a meeting with them on either Monday or Tuesday night. And then I've talked to the police chief, and he's right. Both of them are writing to the select board in support of it. And those 2 pages you can show. But if there's a couple things to fix on this, we probably should. I know we would like to begin introducing the municipal building sign in the spring of 2025, and are asking for a contribution from ARPA funds to apply to our downtown beautification project. Thank you for your consideration. I'm going to go back and retype this or put it in a different program so it's not moving all over the place, but I wanted it in Word so that you could see it easily.
Lisa, once you finalize it, if you save it as a PDF, then it won't jump around.
Okay, because I see normally in the new stuff, I'd put it in pages and then send it as a PDF, but sometime, well, you can't, Amy couldn't have fixed anything as a PDF, so that's just for today's experience. If you have anything else you'd like to write or take things out, then that's why. But what I'll do is, like I said, we see where Design Review Committee is dropped down under the red line,
Yeah,
belongs back up underneath Amy Paretsky, chairperson.
yeah.
You could actually do that. You just grab it and bring the line down, I think.
See what happens. Oh, that's okay. I'll fiddle with it after,
Okay.
because I
Yeah,
think,
Amy, it might be easier if you just have, like, typically the memos, I believe they have the date on the top, then to, then from, and then RE, municipal building sign.
You
So
know, we could
it's
do.
all in a line where they're all under each other.
It's true, but the reason I did it this way, this is an old way, is because there wasn't enough room to keep most of it on one page.
Oh,
So I just tried to make it so it stayed, but once it got to the internet, it changed. Because these,
So
the pictures aren't supposed to be in different,
if we agree to go forward, which I'm sure we will, if we agree to vote to move the memo forward, once you finalize what you wanted to say, which it sounds like you have, we could give it to Michelle and she could put it on letterhead from the design review committee. Is that okay?
yeah?
So this is Lisa, is going forward with the Board of Selectmen on Monday night. I think you already brought it in front of the Board of Selectmen and they wanted you to meet with the library and talk to the police, which you have. And she's talked to us and we all were, agree this is a good idea and it fits along with the goal of some unity downtown and cohesive. So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh, that's okay.
Were you able to get an estimate for how much the sign costs?
I will on Monday. The sign man that I did all this work with since June was away. He was like, I have my computer with me. I said, I have a meeting on Monday. Okay, well, I'll give it to you on Monday. No, no, how about Sunday? You're gonna be back by Sunday. So right now it's, right now I don't have that information. I do have what he'd given me in June, but I can't, I can't be sure that that would be what it's going to be now. So, but I will let you know before the meeting, obviously on Monday night, once I talk with him, I'll share it with everyone. Can you bring up the other two photos, Amy?
Are they in the bed of the email?
Yes, because I might be able to share too.
Okay, I can stop sharing. I don't think I can share an email. I don't know. I'll stop sharing and I'll look at do you want to, I'll
We-
go to my share and see if it lets me pick an email. Yeah. Maybe that, I'm bringing up my email. Can you see that?
There you go.
Yeah, I can choose an email. Is today's, yeah. Okay.
So they basically say pretty much the same thing under the sign, but it gives, when I went into the library, I gave them the four, perhaps we could do this, 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 or this. They chose the third one, well, they chose the fourth one down with the sign saying green entrance on Patty Lane. Which is why, shouldn't have two of the same one. Move one of them up, because you had it before, you had two different ones on there. Yes, there you go. Okay, keep going. There you go. All right. So there's the free library, there's the town offices, the police, I think he likes the second one down. And those would be the three signs that we would ask to have the ARPA money pay for. Provided they're within a range and that there's ARPA money left.
I wonder if it would be clearer if you only include the images that they chose.
Yes, I'm just showing this, I'm showing you what I did for the two cell sheets.
Oh, okay.
All right, so the library got the one on the right and the police got the one on the left. So, and then the town offices just got the town offices sign. And these don't have to be at the Monday night meeting. It's just to show you what I did. But their letters of support would also probably have copies of those.
Okay.
And is this something that, I mean, I was asking Amy this morning, is this something that, Laura, you can come in and make the presentation and I'll sit with you? Or how do you want to do that? Once I have all the numbers.
If you want me to, of course, I was planning on doing it remotely
Oh, okay.
on Monday night. And I don't have nearly the knowledge about this project that you do.
Okay.
But if you want me to, of course I will.
Well, I mean, I don't mind being the speaker. I just think like in the case of having, it's a memo from Amy, so I'm just the, I'm the lower guy on the totem pole. But, I can, maybe you could overview and then say, this is what the design review, because it would be again another support of what we were looking to do.
Okay, yeah, if you could share that cost estimate, because I'm sure they're gonna be
Oh, yeah.
curious about that.
Oh, yeah, there's no
Soon
way,
as you
we
get
don't
it.
have any money, there's no way without a cost and without any money. So I'm gonna also talk to Jason to find out what's left, if it's even doable. But, and there was a question of, some people had said, well, how come it isn't all just maroon because of the town, the street signs are maroon and the park signs are maroon. And I thought that we had talked about giving the option of having some different color just to separate the buildings, give them a little bit of personality. So I'm still for that. I know the Free Library wants the green. I know the police wants the blue. And I do know that somebody wanted maroon, so that's why I did those three colors. Your thoughts?
I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, I associate the maroon, it looks like red, which would be like fire department, but I don't know of anything that would be better, so.
Well, you can, obviously, this is a photo on the screen, so the paint, we can, we'd pick the paint as the more maroon we could get, right?
Yeah,
And that's the, and I think for the fire, I would have put red as well for fire. Or the reason I say green is if those doors are going to be green, then you could match the color of the doors. But that's just an artist's view of it.
And that's really up to them, right? You let the police pick blue and the library pick green, so the fire
Yeah.
department can pick if they want red or green or
Yeah,
maroon.
maroon, right? So,
no, maroon is good. I
yeah,
mean, as long as it looks real maroon,
right.
you
I'm with,
know,
yeah.
like the school.
Yep.
So, and I can show you the spec sheet. Bob, you're with us, right? I started to do the spec sheet on it. Just like you do with the logo. It's not here. Do you want me to read the copy or can you read the copy?
I can read it.
Okay.
It's
let
a
me-
group seminar, actually in a meeting. Okay.
So let me see if if I hit share, can I go and try to share I'll see if I can find the spec sheet. Okay. Share. Ooh, what am I sharing here?
Oh, you got permission.
There you go. I got everything under the sun here. So let me see. School sign snap. Right, page zoning. Huh. I may have thought I could see. What's this gonna look like? Library sign. Ah. Look at that. There you go. So the material is an HDU, a high density urethane signboard. It's a closed cell product for exterior car sign application. It's designed not to absorb water, will not split or crack or rot like traditional wood signs. The depths of the signs are 2 inches, width and length, depending on a large or a medium sign, are shown. The outline cut, I asked the sign maker how you would describe it, or was there a name for it? And he just said a gentle curve. So I have to write that in. Surface finish smooth, background color white. Additional element, town seal on a raised circular bed. Additional signage was what we had for the library. We could do it, I think, and it's funny because I've seen it now. Amy sent me some pictures and then driving through town. It seems as though the Northboro's, what is it? When you visit people that have passed, what's that called? That
Funeral-
building, what is it?
Funeral parlor?
The funeral home, yeah. So if you look at the funeral home, he has the name of the funeral home is above, and then below is the name of the funeral director, if that's what it's called. But those are on and attached, both to the granite. When I designed the libraries, I was thinking just putting an eye hook and a hook that they could just put on for that green. But we could change it to be like that where the green, go to Patty Lane is directly on the sign. And then they could have an iron hook down below if they wanted to, say art show today or something. But those are options that you guys can decide upon. The outside, the lettering in the outline is carved and flat. Oh, there you go. Look at that, Bob. Font, town and building property letters, Georgia bold, street address letters, Myriad Pro.
Yeah, I think this is important because, you're talking about unity and style and all that sort of stuff. And, you don't want a script on one sign and a block type on another.
Right.
So whoever this goes out to, whether it be the sign manufacturers or the department heads are gonna be working with the signs, this needs to be stapled right, right with the package.
Right. Right. And, and I think having that already decided, you can tell the difference, So you have serifs or no serifs and the thickness and that sort of thing. So the Georgia bold, I believe, was used as the word park. If you look at the Ellsworth Park sign.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I haven't paid attention to it. But branding is very important, as a lot of major corporations, they have entire departments to do this. And typically when I worked at Liberty Mutual, they had 4 binders of signage and logos and the rules and regulations and the types and the fonts and the colors. It was like reading a building code book.
Yeah, it's true.
And I just think this is important because what you want is continuity, with what you're putting out there.
Right, absolutely. And I had to work with Astra Pharmaceuticals for 7 years, and boy, there were a lot of specifics. So it's easier just to do it and have it done. So if there's something else in the specs, let me know and I could put it on. I'll have to go back and find out what the letter height for the mediums and for the large sign is for the body, because everything else will stay the same. The town of Northborough will stay the same, and the seal, obviously. So the granite posts at this point are 6x6. Most of the lengths would be 7 with 3 underground, but you want it to be at least 3 feet off the ground for the base of the sign, especially because of snow or if you want to put plantings. We could specify 2 because we talked about this, what height or type of plantings you want to put underneath it so you don't have sign of flowers coming up on top of the signs, because I've seen that. Actually, I took a picture of one because it really didn't look great. They weren't being watched. If you get into hosta, the hosta is great because it never really gets high until the fall when the flowers come up. And then they get about 2 feet high, 3 feet high. So I didn't put that in because it's not the sign spec, but we could add that if you wanted to. And depending on the terrain, I think we wrote it in that way on the cell sheet has the terrain, like what the terrain is. So you might have, if your terrain was, in the case of the town offices, you've got it going up a hill. So one pillar would be shorter than the other because of the height to make it straight. So I described that in the cell sheet, but I could put it here. I just think it's obvious that you're going to hold it straight. And normally, even though I put in, I may have to change this because I talked to the sign maker, the granite posts finish. A rough chisel is usually what you see, but then there's a thermal, which is the smooth pebble. They use the thermal side to put the brackets on, so it's straight. But this Sorensen, I believe it's called in Shrewsbury, makes a standard that's a 2-to-2, so that 2 sides are the rough and 2 sides are the thermal. When I talked to them, they said you could do a 3-side and 1, but it would cost more money. So we don't have to be that specific. Because because somebody probably wouldn't notice, but you would definitely need to have the smooth side so that you could put the apparatus together and it would be more secure. And then the top finish of the post is just the flat, no cap, no apex, meaning the point. And the granite color would be a gray. What we would do is I'd go down to figure out what they're, because I think the granite comes in 3 or 4 colors, and maybe specify the gray, whatever it might have a name for it. Because you wouldn't want pink, even though it's nice to, have it on one of the signs and not all the others. So as Bob says, you want to keep them as identical as possible.
Have the color of the gray? Oh, yeah, you did, gray. That's a lot of detail. You don't realize how much detail goes into a sign, especially trying to keep them uniform.
Right. Well, it's like Bob said, once you get to specs, they get them right down to the inch and everything else. So font is important, size is important. It's interesting to see too, the other 2 signs that were where they're maroon and white letters, white carved letters, because the back, and they're on some sort of a surface that's been painted. So it's a doppled look. It's got, if you go open the pictures, you could see them very closely. I don't understand why it was designed like that. Like here's maybe you can see this. See this back here? Like why they have that, I don't know. But that's painted.
Oh, wow.
And it's thick, but the sign is on top of it. So this is the back of the entrance. And this is different because it's a fluted 4x4 on something here. And the other one is not. Let's see, there's another picture of that. You see how this thickness is here? So they're adding this board to this back substrate. But again, you've got your carving that's the same. You've got your lettering carved that's the same font. A little bit different top. The seal obviously would be the same. Let's see if I have another one.
I think it looks nice. They'll all be downtown on the main street, the library, the
Yeah, right now.
town offices, police, and fire. So when they're all, and the granite posts look nice.
I like the granite posts over the painted ones.
They'll match the common too as the granite posts.
Yes. Let's see. There it is right here.
The flutes on those signposts can present a problem. When we built the Grafton Center Fire Station, we put the signs up, they had a maroon post with fluting and gold leaf inside the flutings. And
Wow.
first of all, it's a maintenance nightmare. But if you put flutes in like a white column, they're going to collect dust and dirt really, really badly. Whereas if you have a granite post, it'll get dirty and it'll weather all at the same rate,
Right.
as opposed to having a surface and then an indented flute. That's just my experience, is that, any kind of fluting gets dirty, and
Right.
you can really see it over time.
Right. And that shows just in those signs that are the entrance signs.
Yeah.
So, and this one doesn't have the fluting.
Right.
And it goes through town. I'm pretty sure they just put them on a white pillar. Originally, Peasley's sign were on these smaller white pillars. I think they were very small. They didn't look like a 4x4. They
Yeah.
ended up giving way, and the sign fell on somebody who was trying to put a message on it. So they went out and bought that new sign, which I thought was amazingly beautiful. It just turned out to be the same sign maker.
Yep.
So, but you've said the schools have done others. Have they done others after Peasley's?
I'm not sure. I just noticed the one on Maple Street, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty nice. And
Yeah.
then I think to myself, did I give a permit for that?
I don't know. But that's, I mean, I like that sign myself. I was just delighted to see that. So, and I'm hoping the other schools will do that. I don't know how they're going to manage it, but I just, I added it to that. Because we can't change every sign in town. That's financially, unfeasible. But this kind of gives that same sense, you know, the letter's the same, the carving, you've got the seal, there's some of the elements kind of pull it together. So I would think maybe we would go with this color, the background color of the Ellsworth McAfee for the maroon. Is that something everybody likes, or should it be darker?
Oh, it's not gonna be a white background?
No, 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 for the font, for the letters and the
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that it's a Mark, you're the one who noticed the color. Do you think that color looks maroon?
Yeah, I think isn't that Algonquin maroon?
Yeah, maroon and gold.
yeah, maroon and gold. So that's what I'm going to specify for the maroon. I can put a PMS color. That's a PanMass. It's a, you know, color matching system. They
Yeah,
will
Pantone.
guarantee it. Yeah, Pantone, right. So, but at least you'll have something so that there is a, you know, semblance. And I think it was out of deference to Lori wanting to have some different colored signs that we ended up giving the choices. And I think it was a good idea, so.
Okay, I think it's great. I don't know if we have to vote on sending the memo forward. I think we're all in favor, the three of us. And if there's any updates, like if anybody has noticed something that a typo or had some grammar and wants to send it on to Lisa, or Bob, if you notice something missing from the specs we have to add, then Lisa, do you mind if people reach out to you if they have any input?
Not at all. Do you want, should we include the specs to the select board? Do they need to know that? Or what do you think for the presentation? You guys let me know what you'd like me to do.
I would just say that, you know, you've got, I don't know if they need to read the specs because, you know, this is kind of in the weeds. But I think it would be a good idea just to mention that you have a spec sheet that dictates, you know, the colors, the fonts, the sizes, all the stuff, so that there's uniformity throughout the town.
Okay,
You know, I would just make that as like a one-line comment,
all right.
you know, because, I mean, you know the select board better than I do. Do they want to get into the weeds?
It depends on who's presenting.
Okay.
So, in all honesty, so maybe that we can add that to the bottom of the letter?
Hmm.
That would be good, I think. And then, you know, if they want to see it, we'll just send it in, but I don't think they're going to care about this part of it. It's for us. And for the, you know, department heads and the sign makers.
Maybe I'm going back to the vote. Maybe we should take a vote because they might ask, how did the board vote on it? So maybe I'll take an official vote. You know, sometimes. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, do I hear a motion that we vote to approve the sign design for the municipal signs and send a letter to the Board of Selectmen asking for ARPA funding or any other funding to install new signs at the library, the police station, and the town offices?
Well, Mark, you move that and I'll second it.
Well, you know, I'm having one thought. You know how the library sign is going to be able to hang, you know, a secondary sign under it? Maybe we want that on all of them. You know, so like if there's a watering ban, the town hall could hang it, something like that.
Well, yeah, hook and eye is pretty easy. I think the
Yeah.
first determination is, do we want to have the libraries permanent and then something underneath the permanent? And I mean the permanent being the entrance on Patty Lane,
Yeah.
so that their eye and hook would be underneath that. And that
Yeah.
would be where you start your 3 feet, is at that lower portion of the greens part of the Patty Lane sign.
I
And
would
then-
think
Hmm?
their entrance on Patty Lane has to be permanent because they wanted that, right? And it's never gonna change whether they hang something else underneath, so I do.
So I'll go with them and I'll make up another picture so everybody can see it, but it would probably, I think should be a 2-inch airspace between that and the one above it. Because you don't want everybody else's sign, you want that shape to be specific to everybody's municipal sign. But because there's some alterations, it should have a little bit of space between it. If you know what I'm saying. But hook and eye is pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I guess, I don't want to slow things down, so should I just move that we go with this?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we're gonna fix the municipal sign specs, so we can put that on the sign specs.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're just moving forward that we're gonna, if somebody has edits to the specs or the letter, they can still, it's not the final letter. But
Right.
we're approving that Lisa go forth with the letter and the specs and the design, and that we agree
Well,
with the sign.
you should have me go ahead with the sign specs and stuff. It's coming from you as the letter. So as the letter is written, we'll just go back and write that last sentence, and then that would be cleaned up, but it would be the letter that would be submitted. Right?
Yep,
okay.
Right, let me see.
unless someone has changes.
We get to,
A lot of times we did make a vote to move something forward and say, oh, with the planning board, we say, Laura, can you drop up a letter? Or, so the letter doesn't, it's similar, but it doesn't have to be every single word right now.
all right, well, you guys choose what you wanted to say. I'm merely your artist in training. Sometimes it's here.
Did you want to make any changes to the letter, Mark?
No, I've just never made a motion, so I don't know what I have to do it.
So moved.
That's all you have to say is so moved. I mean, I just bumbled together that motion myself.
Oh, okay.
All right, hold on, let me just put in what Bob had said, because it sounded really good. All right, tell me what it was you said, Bob. I've already forgotten. Oh my
No, my
God.
word. I think it was something about, design standards and fonts and colors and stuff have been established. So continuity is maintained throughout all the signs. Something to that effect.
Design standards, colors, and fonts have been established so that, again?
So that continuity is maintained. Continuity is maintained throughout all the signs. Now I would,
The municipal building signs.
now I would go back up to the top line that you had there. Design standards such as colors, fonts, and other details. Colors,
Fonts and other details?
colors, comma, fonts, comma, and other details.
Okay. Yes, because of the granite too.
Yeah. Plus you get sizes and,
Yeah.
all the other little details that go into it.
Okay. How's that look? Have been established so that continuity is maintained throughout the building. I didn't ask you to do that.
There you go.
Looks
I
good.
think you got it.
And was there some spelling there was another spelling thing, I think I thought, did I?
Lisa, I have a couple of minor wordsmithing changes.
Okay.
I'd be happy to send
Right.
to you.
Okay, I'm gonna save this only because I like
We'll
it.
have to get back to the sign by law because we'll run out of time.
Okay. I
So
like
do you
it.
want me to make the motion again? It's just a motion to approve the design for the municipal building signs and sending a letter to the Board of Selectmen to request ARPA funding for signs for the library, the police station, and the town offices.
Right, and I'll second.
No, you
So
say so moved.
Oh, so moved.
second.
Okay, all in favor, Mark McMenamy,
Aye,
Lisa Maselli,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Thank you for doing all that. That's great. That'll look amazing.
Okay, that's a project almost done, Monday night.
Okay, so we'll get back to the design guidelines. Oh, no. Sign. Just have to find my button. I'll share the sign bylaws again. Oh, Lisa, you have to stop
Oh,
sharing.
unshare. Where's my unshare? Oh, stop share. Look at that, it's up above. Okay.
I will bring up. Okay. We stopped for a minute, Bob, when you had to step out, so we didn't go any further.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We didn't want to go forward without you, in case we need your input, but I think I have to remember where we left off. We were
Right
talking about
about,
the roof signs.
I think I stepped out just before you talked about window wrap.
Okay.
As you and I mentioned, before the meeting started, it gets, if a sign is not a sign unless it advertises what's going on in the premises. So if you've got a window wrap, like you said, in the veterinary clinic, if it's just a scenic, of something and it has no advertising language on it, it doesn't meet the definition of a sign. So, window wraps, I know a lot of places use them to cut down on, solar infiltration through the windows, because these wraps have really, really tiny holes in it. A lot of people use it for sunshade, to prevent it from coming into their building. And it puts something kind of pretty on the outside. So it's, I don't know if it's much different than like a wall mural, similar to the one that's on the gas station, just happens to be on a window. I don't know how the police department feels about stuff like that. I would just probably give them a call and see if they have any issues with that.
It's not a
Specific,
sign. Should I just leave it off then? Should I just, we just verified with you that a window wrap isn't really a sign. So it's not advertising, it's mostly scenery.
yeah,
So maybe I take it off this sign bylaw and just leave it as it is right now.
you could, I mean, but it's, with all the new regulations coming out regarding window signs and all the guidelines regarding signs in general, I think it might not be a bad idea to keep it. Okay, and just say, a window wrap is applied to a window to create a custom design pattern or color that does not advertise, um, what's going on in there, or have a logo or something to that effect.
Well, again, a window wrap was designed to be an advertising piece back when they started out with bus wraps. So, I think you'd have to kind of separate the two. So that is the film wrap that's just being an artistic, element to hide some of the openness of a picture window.
Right.
Or to do shade. That also could have some, you should probably put some restrictions on what kind of scene it is. Because if you're on Route 9 and you have the amazing store and they want to put something amazing on the picture, it's part of well, it's my window wrap. So I think you'd probably want to put a little bit of definition as to that, or as Amy talked about earlier, incorporating a logo on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I would probably take some time to wordsmith it, because, the definition of a sign at the top of the section is pretty specific about what a sign and its purpose is. And it's important to differentiate that a window wrap is not a sign. Because it doesn't carry a logo, it doesn't carry any language about the activity within. It's just basically a pretty picture,
Well, yeah,
We leave that
you
to
should
you, the wordsmith, and then bring it back to us?
Yeah.
Well, we have another month to work on it.
Yeah, we're going in front of the planning board actually on Tuesday, but there are certain things that we can say that are being finalized.
Because
Like the,
this wording is a film that is applied to a window to create a custom design. That custom design would be say EMS would have some guy hiking up a mountain. Right? So that would be its product or part of its products. But
Yeah, I mean, if actually, again, Amy and I were talking about I think it was the dog therapy place
yes,
across from Rocky's Hardware.
yeah,
They've got a bunch of them on the windows, and if it's a dog um, rehabilitation facility, and they've got pictures of dogs playing out in the field,
mhm,
what is it? You
yeah,
know,
right.
it's a real big gray area.
So maybe they should do, if they're gonna do something, they'd have to have some sort of connection, I suppose. I don't know. It's hard. I like window wraps. I think they do a great job.
Yeah,
I just don't want to see, a custom piece that's made with a lot of Coke bottles and everything else there.
yeah. I think, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's
And
just a matter of making the language work.
yeah. Because once you start, when you describe what it is, yes, it's a film of Light of the Window, period. And then you start to go into a little bit different
Mm.
sign on that. So I think a window wrap, a film that's applied to a window, period. And then you can then describe what it is that film might have on it.
Okay, I just grabbed the definition online that they had, so I myself did not know how to define it.
Yeah, it's interesting because when they did it for the buses, they did it and 3M made it, and you could sit in the bus and look outside.
Yeah.
And everyone was so excited about that. Plus it was, it did shade them from the sun. But
And I think it would be great on like the mobile station if they wanted to do one, versus all, because they might be blocking the sun.
Yep.
But then they get all these free product posters and just put them up all over the window. But if they had a nice window wrap, it might serve the purpose.
I agree.
Okay, well, we'll work on wordsmithing that. So everything was all set until we got to that.
Yeah.
And that will be wordsmith going forward.
Design review. Okay,
Is
so
this-
signs are allowed on awnings now?
Well, that's up for discussion today too.
Okay, because typically they were not allowed on awnings. And then I
Right.
thought there was some language that they said a sign can be put on the apron of the awning, which is the
Right.
vertical, the little flap. I don't know where you folks landed on that.
I don't think we've officially landed. I think that was up for discussion today.
I agree. I'm not a fan of lettering on awnings, but
I mean, the thing is, if you letter an awning, you're putting a sign on a piece of fabric.
I
So, how do we reconcile that when we have, we've already talked about the definitions of a temporary sign being fabric and not a permanent
Well,
mounting.
I think we talked about that being a banner. So an awning sign is definitely different than a banner.
Add the definition down here underneath. Didn't we? Talk about warning signs.
Here's wall sign. Whoop, that's different.
I think it's in this. Yeah.
It's number 16.
And shall extend above and beyond.
We changed it with the red only because of our discussion last meeting was if you look at Northborough Tavern, neighborhood tavern, it's not on the apron. Like some of the awnings didn't have aprons.
Right.
But this is up for discussion today too. Do we want to say it's just on the apron? Or if it's something like neighborhood tavern, it could be allowed on 10% of the awning versus having to be on the apron.
I've also seen sometimes they include the number address
Mm.
on the awning.
Well, that again, I think that would definitely look better on the apron of the awning if they're going to do that. You get into a lot of speculation as to what you could put on there when you have a very large, like the awning that's at Patouche is a pretty big awning. So 10% of that awning can be used for what? Just their name, for their products. You start getting into a pretty big gray area of what can be on that awning. And I think we had a picture, Amy had a picture that showed of a building in Sudbury that had two separate awnings next to each other.
Yep, I can bring that up.
Yeah.
But just to answer the first part of it, on 16, we wrote, shall only consist of the name of the establishment or business logo.
Okay,
But I can see, do you want me to try to bring up that picture?
yeah.
I think you would add address to that
Yeah, I
too,
was thinking address too.
especially if the awning covers the address that's on the wall.
Signs of, okay, shall only consist of name of establishment, address, or business logo.
So you see some like downtown, there's a Clinton Bar and Grill, I think, and it has just like their logo is like C&B or something. So it
Mm.
doesn't have Clinton Bar and Grill, it just has a little circle with their logo. I can see the awning picture. Now, if I click on it, did it open or no? I have to stop sharing and reopen it.
Yeah, you have to stop sharing and reopen it.
Okay. So you want me to pull up that picture?
Yeah, I think it's a good sample. Oh, yeah, I'm tired.
Can you see it?
Yeah, and then you should be able, yeah, you go. You should be able to click it up a little bit more. So can we put, we can, I suppose, but can we put any responsibility of keeping your awnings in good repair? Do we have a line of that someplace?
Yeah, we already have that in our sign bylaw.
I mean, we have a sign bylaw requirement that says signs have to be maintained. The thing is, an awning is a building element, and it needs to be maintained under the building code. So, you know, I don't know if an awning, like you said, you get a red one and a green one here. If you wanted a pair of red ones, is there an enforcement for that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the only concern once we open up awnings on signs on awnings. It's, yeah.
Well, that's it. And you know, right now he's got his cleaner's name. Looks like I can't read the two names above it, but it looks like the sign that they use at Choice.
Yeah.
So that I definitely don't like the way that looks. But and then you got three here. You've got a green, a red, and a black. And also, there's so many different. I'm pretty sure Bob would agree. Nowadays, it's not just the fabric. There's the ones that have the bolts in the building, and it comes down, and it almost looks like a pergola. That style. They have, which was kind of cool in Western Mass. They have some that can be solar, so that it's like tubes.
Yeah, we actually have those on Hudson Ave, Pepper's Catering.
Yeah, yeah,
Those awnings are actually pipes, and that is a solar heat collector to help heat up their hot water.
yeah. I think it looks great. It looks great on that building. I mean,
Yeah.
it really the brick and all of that, and the placement is very nice. But
Yeah.
is that also considered an awning? Is that something that we should also address?
That is considered an awning. The thing is, an awning is allowed as a building element, provided it does not exceed 54 inches from the vertical facade of the wall. So if it's an awning that's beyond 54 inches, it needs a permit. It's considered a building element. If it's a hard awning and the building is sprinkled, you need to put a sprinkler head out there. So you're gonna find most of your awnings stick out from the wall about 53 inches or 53 and a half. And typically they're aluminum framed with the canvas skin on it or the vinyl skin or whatever. But like I said, that's a building element. I'm not sure how we could control that in terms of color or design for that matter. Or having, in this case, you've got basically one block of a building and you get three different awnings on it.
The only thing we can control by the sign bylaw is if we allow signs on them or not.
Yeah.
Either might, yeah, and that's the hard thing. I mean, that's, it's a slippery slope in a small location. Like
Right.
if you were to have them up at the Wegmans, I don't think anybody would mind because it's a really large area and there's a lot of space visually. But when it's like Bob and I talked about, when you're on a main road like Route 20, your letters don't have to be 12 inches high, right? Because you're right there. Those things are designed for long distance viewing.
Mhm.
So maybe it would depend on what section, business A, business B, yada, 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 downtown, what we would like to see. Because that other picture is such a perfect example. They're just two solid colors, they're complementary colors, but the black to me looks better because it's just clean and straight and looks like the apron is also tacked down to a pole. But
We
it's
added design review will be required. It's just in the downtown though. For the wall projecting awning signs. So if we want to allow awning signs, then they would have to come through design review. But awnings are allowed anyways, with or without us, so it
Okay.
doesn't.
Yeah, like I said before, the awnings are a building permit, a building code issue.
Yeah.
If you want to put a sign on that awning or put a screen print on it, then it goes to design review. This all looks fine.
So I guess as a board, we have to, or committee, we have to decide, do we want to go forth with awning signs? Or do we not? But there are a couple of them so far in town and they're okay. Like Neighborhood Tavern looks good and
Yeah, I would say that maybe we'll set up design standards like we did with the signs for the municipal buildings that would go to awnings. What do you think?
yeah, we can put in the design guidelines.
Okay.
I think we're starting to do that already. So I think it'll be part of the guidelines.
All right. I think that'll give some more teeth to what can and can't be on there.
So I don't have to highlight this anymore. I highlighted the yellow things I highlighted were what we added since last year's review.
Okay.
Because we did do all this last year. But once we say it's okay, we can take off the highlight. What do you think, Mark, about awning signs?
Yeah, I think what you got there is fine.
Okay. So this is duplicate. I think, Bob, you would question this. Part of the section sign permits. It says, the relettering of a sign shall be equivalent to the erecting of a new sign, except when the original wording is reproduced.
Right. Basically, it's kind of a maintenance thing. If you get a sign that's faded and they're just replacing it with a new refreshed, non-faded panel or whatever. That's kind of a maintenance thing. It's not a new sign. But if you have, additional wording or you're adding a company logo or something like that, then I would consider that a new sign.
It went from like CVS to Walgreens. That would be a new
CVS
sign,
to
right?
Walgreens would be a definite new permit, new sign.
And they would have to follow all the regulations.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, a new sign is a new sign, so if they're changing it to the point where it is a new sign, all of the requirements in the sign bylaw section apply.
So what happens to like the liquor store, the Northborough Liquors?
Yep.
They replaced their sign recently. And it obviously was after the interlit or internally lit sign
Mhm.
had changed. What happened with that? Just because it was, I think it got hit, and I'm pretty sure it was like a damage that they had
With the
to.
Northborough Liquors?
Yeah.
Right in the center of town. Most recently, they had a electrical issue where the power from the pole goes to what's called the mast, which is the pipe that sticks up off of the building to catch the wires from the pole. That mast became dislodged caused a bunch of power surges and short circuits within the main panel box inside the liquor store. At the same time, that particular panel box was manufactured by Federal Pacific, which back in the 80s, I dare say, was recalled. And if you have one, you are required to change it out because it was that company was a colossal failure. So that particular building right now is undergoing some fairly extensive electrical rework. In terms of, the permitting and all that stuff, I'd have to look it up and see what, whether or not they pulled a permit for it.
The sign, yeah. Well, the
It's fine.
sign might have been done in the last 6 months.
Possibly. I mean, it's, I don't notice everything that goes on around town. But it could have been.
And the only reason I know is because Taza told me when I
Yeah.
went to talk with him, so.
Yeah.
So they're gonna rework that? They're gonna open, do you know if they're gonna keep it what it is, or they're gonna sell the building?
Is last I heard when I spoke to the manager or the construction contact there, the actual owners are actually out of the country at the moment.
Yeah. Oh,
But they're committed to getting it fixed and keeping it as a liquor store.
okay.
They had a question about what do they do with the inventory with all the bottles, and I said, well, you're gonna probably file an insurance claim because I don't know if the insurance company is gonna make you change out the inventory or just clean the bottles that are there. I don't know. That's an insurance issue. I don't get involved.
Good point.
So, but they will have, last I heard, they intend on staying. They're gonna redo the electrical and they're gonna put in a much, much improved fire alarm system. So
Okay. Good know.
they're taking a bad situation and making it better.
A little flambeing going on over there.
Mhm.
They might have had a little flambeing going over there.
Just don't get rid of my scotch.
You can burn that up just as easily.
Okay, so I think the only reason why, so 2 we agreed on, 3 I think was just included to change the numbering.
Yeah.
Because there's no changes to it.
Right.
4, Bob, you thought this was redundant, so we could remove it. Does anyone, since it says new, we added new here, I could remove the redundant part there.
It's a little redundant, but if you want to keep it, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think it's really redundant. We should only take one of the.
How about it,
I'd
what
say.
a new sign means? Is there a place for that?
For
And
what?
there is, when you look up erecting of a sign, it tells what a
They
what a
were,
definition of a sign is.
yeah, but what I'm saying is erecting of a new sign, the question is, what is erecting of a new sign, right? Is that, well, we've just talked about it being anytime it's had to be replaced, and if it's not conforming, it would have to be conforming, like with Norfolk Liquors. How do you define?
If they were to take it, for example, Northborough Liquors, if this is in place, and they want to change the sign, so to go from Northborough Liquors to, I don't know, ABC Liquors, okay? That's a new sign, and everything about that sign, including the mounting of it, the location of it, everything has to fall under these guidelines.
Okay.
So if they were to just replace the insert panel with new text and a new logo, I would, my take on it is that they would have to do the whole sign. The box, the frame, the location, the style, externally lit versus internally lit, design review, the whole piece.
Right, because we're trying to make conformity happen.
Right.
But if they were to just replace the panel as the panel looked without the fading, that would,
If they're just refreshing what was there before, then no permit required, no review required.
so maybe that's why I'm saying that ambient and that, nuance, maybe someplace that we can definitely.
All right, I'll have to look that up. I do kind of think it might be in there. It specifies, like, if anything other than the wording changes, then it's a new sign. I think it actually was up here. No, it's definitely in the
Oh.
definition.
It's right in
It's
front
right
of that
above it.
part. Yeah, it's right there in front of what you want to delete.
So if it's relettering, it's a new sign. Anything but keeping the same exact sign with the same exact letters is new.
Well, then, okay, then relettering is different than what that is, that the word relettering.
That's always been there. But relettering is, so if you're going from Northborough Liquors to ABC would be relettering. In my mind.
That would be a new sign.
It'd be a new sign.
Yeah.
But refreshing could be called, relettering, what's the word, just came and went with me.
Like I said, if you've got a faded sign, or if you got somebody who threw a stone through a sign and they want to replace exactly what was there, I think that's the way we've always
Yeah.
run with it.
Okay.
You know, if it's like I said, if it's an ABC sign versus Northborough Liquors, yeah, by all means, it's a new setup.
So should I take off this part? Is that what we're agreeing to? We'll say new sign, but take off any new sign shall comply with this bylaw.
Like I said, it doesn't bother me. I don't have a dog in that fight, to be honest. I mean, if other people think it's redundant, it's fine by me.
What did you guys think? I just took it off, but
Yeah, that's fine by me.
okay, so the next section is non-conforming signs. This was added last year. I think I took this from another bylaw. Non-conforming signs should not be altered, enlarged, redesigned, or structurally altered, except for in conformity with the bylaw.
That kind of echoes what we just spoke about.
Right,
Yeah.
If you look at, again, Northborough Liquors, that's a currently non-conforming sign. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna alter it, enlarge it, or redesign it, it has to be in conformity with the bylaw. So again, non-conforming signs, if you're gonna mess with it, except for, again, replacing just the face, you know, you gotta conform to all the setups.
all right, so my question, that would bring me all to the Calorico sign at this point, their freestanding sign.
Yeah,
There's no address, it's in the same casing, the interlit casing that Sammy's
Right.
was in, the height.
they pulled a permit for that. They replaced the panel, and it went from, I forget what the company was before, to Caloritos. I've been after them to get some sort of numbers for the street address on it. I'm about to write them another nasty gram and say it's gotta get done. Unfortunately, the street number, that requirement doesn't have a whole lot more detail in terms of how big they need to be, or, you know, where they need to be on the sign or something like that.
Is that
So-
something we should put in?
Hmm?
That's something we should put in, like all signs must have street address and such a
It's
percent?
already there.
Okay.
Yeah, all freestanding signs need to have the street number on the sign. You know, so
Yep.
it doesn't have to say 79 Main Street, it just has to say 79.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what we talked about too with the municipal buildings is, do you put the street name as well? And sometimes that's not such a bad idea. I know that everybody's always had the number and it looks
Yeah.
kind of cool where they put it, but in today's world, sometimes you don't know, like, at that building especially, is it listed under East Main? Is it listed under Main?
Now that we're kind of talking about it, I know you put a lot of work into the municipal signs. Those also need to have the street numbers on them.
Yeah.
Somewhere,
They all do.
Yeah, they do.
They
At
all
the
do.
bottom.
Bottom.
yeah, so,
Okay.
and I would suggest where those numbers go, you know, should probably be, specified.
Oh, on our spec sheet?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can. I mean, they're all, like I said, when you look at the sign, the only differences are the color things that we had
Yeah.
said, but Town of Northborough streets, the street addresses are in black.
oh, there it is. Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
showing you, I brought it up.
Thank you.
Just yep,
We have to,
Okay,
example, Bob.
okay.
yeah, okay, I'll go back. All right. Okay. So should I leave in this non-conforming part, or we think it's covered by the section above?
I would leave it where it is, just like the way it's printed.
Right there now with the number
Yeah.
5?
That's fine.
Yep. Okay. So if we move on, basic requirements D, there's a long list of basic requirements.
Yep.
And we changed that we may allow them on awnings. We haven't actually defined gasoline canopies, if we allow them or we don't.
Well, you've kind of defined it further up because you had the gasoline slash diesel slash EV charging
Yeah.
um as a canopy. So I think you've already addressed it.
But we didn't address like how much, like can it be on 20% of the canopy? Do we allow, like, we didn't say how we allow like 10% of the windows to have signs on it or like 32 square feet of the wall.
Yeah.
We have nothing about gasoline canopies or fuel canopies shall.
I think
Do we,
put something into that, because I don't like the fact that, over the years, the 3 canopies on the gas stations have gotten huge. The 4th one is Cumbies. Theirs is still small. And it's not obtrusive. But again, because we're not on a highway, you're not going 60 miles an hour when you pass these buildings. I think there's way too much signage on those canopies. And they may have gone before the ZBA to get those too.
yeah,
I think the one in Cumberland Farms, that sign was a part of the package. But they're making those overhangs and those canopies bigger and bigger because nobody wants to pour gas and, get rained on like I did yesterday.
Yeah, I had that happen.
So those things are just getting bigger and bigger. Whether or not there's enough wall area to put a sign on it, I'm not sure, but it's, I think they're all different, but I don't think they're gonna be getting any smaller.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I just think it's just more noise. It's just more visual noise. It's a gas station. You've got a huge sign that says what our gas costs are.
Yeah.
Redundancy. I don't think they need to do that.
right now, we don't allow signs on fuel canopies if we don't, if it's not permitted, that it's prohibited. And I do think for the one downtown, they went in front of the ZBA, the one near the common.
One near the common, they went to the ZBA because the requirement is for because it's at the time it was classified as a wall sign, and a wall sign does not allow for flat vinyl text letters. And that's what they had proposed, because the requirements are 1/4 inch thick, and they wanted to use like a vinyl wallpaper, if you will. So they had to get a variance from the ZBA for that one specific difference.
Yeah. So, and again, even with the ZBA, I think you've got to have you have a limit, right? Like Amy said, with a 10% or something.
Like
Yeah, well,
20% or,
No, like I said, it was a wall sign, so. But at any
Well,
rate, it went through.
yeah. Wall signs are 32, it's 8x4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
I think because we've pulled them out and we're now addressing them with a different definition, I don't think they should be considered a wall sign.
well, you've differentiated it because you added a definition for the canopy sign.
yeah.
So
So
that takes it out of a wall sign category.
Right, that's what I said. Right.
So if we're gonna allow like their logo or sign for like, say, mobile, Do we allow 20% of the canopy to be their logo or name of the establishment?
That's gonna be your call,
Right,
and the thing is that, because these canopies, say, for example, if a canopy has four sides to it, is it, just for spitballing numbers, is it 20% per side?
No.
Okay, because you got essentially four walls. I don't know.
right. We'll have to look at BP. What are they? Are they just on one side or I don't even know?
BP?
Or whatever has the sign, which is the one near the town common? Did they just do?
It's all over three anyway.
Yeah, they got a list of oil changes and stuff like that on theirs.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds bigger than a bird basket for right now.
Yeah.
We'll have to think about that. So the other basic requirements we had, number 3 was no sign shall be part of or attached to roofs.
Right.
Oh, no, it used to say marquees, awnings, or gasoline canopies. And it does say further down in our bylaw that signs cannot be attached to roofs. But I thought since it's so buried on page 7-115 under location, it might be easier if we just have it quickly under the basic requirements. Like, I don't know, do you guys have your bylaw books?
No.
Well, page 115 does say that you can't secure a sign to a roof. But even I've been on the board for, I always say for 10 years, I've been on the board, but I've never even noticed because it's so buried within the sign bylaw. So I thought it's easier just to have it as a basic requirement and take it out of where it's hidden.
I've never really had too much of a problem with people wanting to put signs on roofs. When the permit comes to me, if it's on a roof, I say no.
Yeah.
It's that simple. We do have occasional things like the previous owners of Caloritos, they put it up without a permit, so they try to sneak it in, but we were able to take care of that as well.
I was crossing out marquees, awnings, or gasoline canopies, because if we're gonna allow it, well, we didn't, last year we were gonna say no signs on a gasoline canopy, but if we were gonna allow a certain percentage, then I'll just delete that. But do we want to allow, it says no signs shall be part of or attached to marquees or awnings. If we're gonna allow it on awnings, then we have to delete it. And a marquee is what, a tent I looked up?
Marquee is kind of, well, kind of think of an old time movie theater. We have that overhang that extends over the sidewalk.
Yep.
Ironically, if it's a movie theater, there's always a giant sign showing what they're showing.
Right?
Go figure.
So should I cross out marquees? Because we don't have any marquees anyways.
Well,
But-
I sent you a picture of Ted's Montana Grill,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they've got a little canopy, or it's a fixed roof over their entryway on some of their locations, and then they mount a roof sign on top of that, but it's below the top of the building or even the roof line. So
Oh,
I don't know.
I can, if you cast a diva on Solomon Pond Road.
Yeah.
They have, at their front door, it's a canvas, it's not an awning because it's not physically attached to the building, but it's a semicircular, well, walkway that's covered in canvas, okay? That could be considered a marquee. Okay, it's kind of a covered entryway. It's about 5 feet wide. It's about 10 feet long. Yeah, it's right at the front door. I think they actually have a sign on it because it was pre-existing non-conforming from way back when. So that could be considered a marquee. I would think.
Same
Some
with Fox Run over there. Is it Fox Meadow or Fox Run? They have some of those big, long canopies.
yeah. Yeah.
So should I leave it? Right now, the bylaw states no sign shall be part of or attached to marquees. But as you said, Castadiva has one. Do we
But-
want to allow them or leave it the way it is?
I personally would rather leave it off, and those were pre-existing non-conforming.
Okay,
Right.
so then this wouldn't be crossed out. But if we're gonna allow them on awnings, then we do have to cross it out, because right now it says no signs shall be attached to awnings.
Right.
Take the awnings off, leave the other two on.
You don't want any signs on gasoline canopies, but we could allow a wrap.
Wrap wouldn't go on a canopy, wrap would go on a window. The whole idea is as you're visually going downtown, you look at all the signage that's out there. The more lettering, the more colors, the more, everybody's trying to scream, here I am, like Vegas. It just continues to make that happen. If you don't have that, if you don't, like, if those hadn't been granted, you would not have as much, in my design estimation, yelling going on. You know who they are, but
Yeah, like, we're
drive-
better off allowing signs on gasoline canopies than we are a freestanding sign.
but they have a freestanding sign as part of their right, don't they,
All
Bob?
right, so don't we have to back, because we've already talked about, okay, so we don't allow gasoline canopies. Signs on gasoline canopies. That seems odd,
Why?
because we've got at least 3 of them in town. One of them's on a brand new building.
They've all got stuff on them.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cumberland Farms, Sunoco, and the one with the mural.
Even the gas stations out on Route 9 have them.
Yeah, and 9 makes sense because you're going 45 to 60 miles an hour down the
Yeah.
road.
The thing is that sometimes it's going back to my design days. Whenever you have an image or a photograph with wording or letters or text in it, your eye automatically goes and wants to read what's on that, what that word is, or those words are. So, if you're going down the road and you see, that many signs, if there are too many of them, you can probably have an issue with, distraction.
Right.
I mean, 30 miles an hour through the downtown Northborough is, in my opinion, too fast. Because there's just so much going on, and do you want to have more distractions? Again, it's your call.
And you could then separate it from 9. Right?
Gasoline canopies had like 20%, and that way they could put their little Cumberland Farms, but they don't cover the whole canopy. Like their logo.
Well,
Right,
and
that's what we talked about having 20%, and now we're not allowing them at all. This just seems weird.
because now you're jumping from awnings to canopies, gasoline canopies. Um,
No, just when we were defining gasoline canopies, we were talking about allowing 20% on the thing, and now we're saying we can't allow them at all. So we're just not being consistent here.
well, I know my personal preferences. In smaller areas, there's just too much going on. Route 9 doesn't matter because Route 9's a different place. Your sign bylaws have to be able to address everybody. Do you want to separate them out, or do you want to leave the downtown? I don't think hopefully we'll never build another gas station downtown, but I would think that the Route 20 corridor, if they ever had to try to build another gas station, that it would just be nice not to have a lot of stuff all over it on 20, as it's a small, short, low-speed area.
Well, one of the things about the downtown is that I don't believe gas stations aren't allowed use anymore. So anybody who's in there currently is pre-existing non-conforming, including the canopies. So with the downtown canopies and signage, what you're worried about is if it changes name, changes logo, changes supplier, say if it goes from Getty to Shell to Mobile or whatever. But, so if we've got 3 or 4 in the immediate downtown, there aren't going to be any more. It's just not in the use tables.
But they seem to get torn down and rebuilt quite often.
Potentially.
Yeah, I know the mobile station, I think that's the third building that's been there in my lifetime.
Mhm.
I just think if we say 20% includes their name or their logo, like the awnings, then that's what they'll do. If we say nothing and that they're not allowed, then they're gonna go for a variance.
And
And then,
is the 20% for everything, like awnings and everything else? Is that what you're trying to do, is just do that 1% for all the three areas that you're gonna have?
maybe, I didn't think that far. I think the awnings, actually, we said 10%, but,
And
gasoline,
I go back to 10 on the gasoline and put it at 10%. If you've got 10% on the awnings. More consistent.
yeah,
And
I'm just looking at the pictures and the Sunoco station doesn't have a freestanding sign. All they have is the canopy sign.
they've got a sign with numbers, with prices. They all do. They're all required.
Well, I'm looking at the picture of it right now on Google Maps.
Surprised. Well, and you also have to consider that maybe we won't have gas stations, but we might have EV stations.
mhm. And I do
And
think
right now, the EV stations that are at Wegmans have digital billboards on them. Or at least one did. You could see some different things going on.
A lot of your gas station, I drove back home from Philadelphia this past weekend and stopped off at a fuel stop to get gas. And they've got like a 13-inch color TV there, and it's advertising and, go get a Coke and go get a sandwich and, it's, I don't know where you draw the line.
right.
Yeah.
I think for
You are
canopies,
correct. To correct myself, there is a freestanding sign for Sunoco. It
Yeah.
just got lost in the background.
Keep in mind, there are two types of signs in any gas station that are required by the state. One is the inspection sticker sign, and the other one is the price of the gas on the pump, not as a separate sign attached to a pole, but those little, 8x10 signs that are on top of the pumps. Those are allowed and required by the state without zoning interference.
Well, I thought that was also that's freestanding it was required that they put the prices on that too. Don't they?
Not sure. I'd have to double check that. There's a specific state code. It's not in a building code, it's not in a zoning code. I believe it comes under Department of Transportation. I'd have to look that up again.
Okay.
so I think it will go for a variance anyways, because they're all gonna want it. So I do think if we lay out 10 or 20% of the gasoline or the fuel canopy is allowed a sign, then it will, it'll keep people from having to go get variances, and then when they do get a variance, they'll get a variance for cover the whole thing.
How about if we do 10%? And how about if we list it as being a logo or address?
Or name of the business.
Okay.
And how about, how big is the one on Cumberland Farms? Do you think it's 10 or 20%?
I'd say 10. It looks pretty small because it's on the corners. And the rest of the canopy's all white. Just very, very quiet.
Okay, I'll put 10, but we can take a look at it. Do you think it's 10%, Mark, if you looked at Cumberland Farms?
I'm looking
I-
at it right now. It's pretty small.
Yep. I just
it's
want to
a-
make sure that it's not so prohibitive that they go for variances, like.
Yeah, they actually don't even have it on the front. They only have it on the side.
And I bet that was probably an agreement when they rebuilt the building. Or Cumberland Farms didn't feel that they wanted to brand themselves with this race car look that Sunoco does.
So I wrote signs on fuel canopies. 10% of each side, or because they want to see it from east and west.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I say I don't know how to judge the percentage real quick.
Well, I don't know how you do it on a existing sign, but typically what they would, on an application to me, they would show the entire surface and then they would show where the sign is gonna go and its size, and I would ask them for the percentage ratio.
Okay.
Right.
So it's a percentage of area, not one height or the width. So I guess top energy is the only one that's really big.
Yeah, it's basically the whole thing.
Yeah.
And remind me, I have a question about number 21.
Okay. 22, but I think it has to be reworded so it makes sense. But if somebody wants to try to reword that. But
I like it. Good
something
job.
like, okay.
Is 10% the right number, or did we want to look at?
Nope, 10's good.
Well, I have no idea what 10% looks like, so I'm
It's
just
real
saying,
small.
yeah. I would think 20% is something I normally see. But whatever Cumberland Farms is, that's a good number.
Great.
Right. So I guess you take that, put it on the computer and do the measurements, you could tell.
Yeah,
You mind doing that? And then I can change it to whatever it is.
okay.
Unless
Okay.
15%.
Yeah, we'll see what looks right. I mean, it's hard to go off of a number.
I do have a question on number 21.
Okay.
In no case shall any sign or part thereof project over a property line or over a public way.
Yeah. I
Let's
took
take,
that out of,
let's take
sorry.
that, in the downtown district where the
Oh.
building goes right up to the sidewalk.
Yeah, that actually would mean that you can't do any projecting signs.
Right,
Because those are always over the sidewalk and that's within the right of way.
right, that's my question.
Okay. We can take that out. But I think I tried to take some of the things that were buried in the bylaw and put them front and center I find like, at least for myself, what I go down is the basic requirements. And that's already in there.
Right, that's been in there for a long time. But now that we're introducing blade signs that are able to kind of stick out from the main facade of the building and potentially over a public way or public sidewalk, I guess that's the question.
Right.
I'd like to use Northborough House of Pizza as an example.
Yeah,
It's a big sign
yeah,
fighting between two state road signs,
right.
both, and they're not happy with either one of those.
Right, they tell me that every time I go in there.
So I would have preferred to see theirs higher. I mean, that's a big sign. If something were to happen, you're walking, boom.
Yeah.
And, you really don't really notice it because it's right on the sidewalk and you're going right over the railroad tracks when you're heading east.
Mhm.
West, you're heading over the railroad tracks, you're not looking over at that. You go, oh, is there a train coming? But there's three signs right together. It looks terrible. It doesn't feel comfortable. And the blade signs and such, are these a certain height off the ground and all that sort of thing? And I know that's the only example I can think of downtown, but I think
That's Sawyer's Bowling is also a projecting sign
but it's not as close to the road or not as low, correct?
over the sidewalk. And then the barber sign next to Northborough House of Pizza.
Isn't that a circular thing against the wall?
No, it's a projecting sign. I'm looking at it on the GIS.
What's
We
the,
went- Last year, we went over projecting blade signs. Is so what you're talking about? Number 17, that says it has a minimum height requirement.
Yeah, we had agreed to 10 feet back then.
10 feet seems, well, I mean, what about like on Rockies where they have a hanging sign under the canopy? That you can read as you're walking down the sidewalk? Those seem like they're less than 10 feet.
The 10 feet works well with the sidewalk plow. That's what I've been told by DPW.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a lot last year when we came up with the 10 feet.
Well, I think it's important to have some height because you don't wanna,
Yeah, I'm just thinking of under canopies, like, or under freezes, like over at Rockies. I mean, I'm not even sure if they have the signs there anymore. I haven't been there in a while.
I haven't been there quite a
Like
while.
as you were walking down the sidewalk underneath the freeze, there'd be a hanging sign so you would know.
Check it
Yeah.
out today, but I don't think there are any.
They have them
But-
up at Northborough Crossing too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
know
don't
I've
even-
seen them in different places. They're definitely in Shrewsbury. In that case, though, 10 feet is awful high. You know,
Well, I think up at Northbrook Crossing, you've got higher buildings or higher areas for that stuff. Right downtown, Northborough, not the case. So. Again, it gets back to how do you want the downtown to look?
I can just say that we have the 10-foot requirement in Millbury for projecting signs, and it's never been a problem. Nobody's ever asked for a variance in the 16 years I was there.
What does Northborough House of Pizza want, Bob? Other than to take down the two state signs.
Yeah, they don't like the idea of the two state signs are messing with the view. And I said, you know, you gotta take that up with the state. Those guys put those signs wherever they want. You know, they
Yeah.
have their own rules and, you know, they don't care about what's, you know, whether or not they're gonna obscure a pizza sign. I mean, you know, it's the state. They do what they want.
And it's the state road, you know, they're more concerned with traffic safety.
Right, right. We just
So-
gotta have to live with their shenanigans, if you will.
So I think we stick with 10 feet. We decided it last year. And then unless we find out something different, like Mark say, if you go over, we can still talk about this at our next meeting, but if you go over to where Rockies is and you think we need to change it, but they
Yeah.
would be grandfathered.
well, I say, I mean, those are kind of a different sign. I mean, because those hang from a ceiling. Um,
Oh, so they're not really projecting blade signs out of the wall,
yeah,
but I see what you're saying.
so the House of Pizza is the only one that's too low?
I'm gonna go back to the beginning because we bumped around. So I'm gonna take off the gasoline cannon piece for 3 because we went into of course now it says my internet connection is unstable. All right, I'm back. So I'm gonna take off this gasoline canopies that was added because we agreed for 10% or whatever Cumberland Farms has. So number 3 now says no sign shall be part of attached to roofs or marquees. Is that good?
All right, this kind of ties in, like the Northborough House of Pizza sign. For them to get the 10 feet under it, they're gonna have to be, I guess they could do it mounted to the wall, but it would still be above the roof. So I know that's not a roof sign, but it's still gonna look funny.
Well, if they change it, they're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like the old hardware is still up there from a former roof sign.
Mhm.
Or could be an antenna or something, I can't tell, but
You're saying is what? North House of Pizza couldn't have their sign now with our bylaws or no?
Oh, yeah, because that's only about 7 feet tall.
Yeah, I think they would do better to put it in a different position.
Well, that's why I'm trying to say, we should make sure that they have a good place to put this sign. And if it has to be 10 feet tall, I think the building only looks like it's about 12 feet tall. Because right now the bottom of their sign is at the top of their windows in doorway, so that's about 7 feet, I would.
Right, it's low. It's low and it's big.
But if it were to go higher, it'd be above the roof.
Kind of like Northborough Liquor sign there with the Budweiser sign.
Yeah.
And
no,
that really wouldn't,
how about this? Why couldn't they use the side of their building, right, with that circular, must be an exhaust fan, next to the railroad tracks? Couldn't they use the side of their building to make the bracket for the sign? And make it higher?
Well, then,
They wouldn't-
it just becomes like a roof sign, only mounted to the side.
so is there any way for the, say, 10 feet or, what fits on the building? Like, say there is a building that's super short. How can we word it? Say it will have a minimum requirement height of 10 feet or I don't know how we reword that.
Well, it
So
has
if,
has to be safe to pass, so now you're kind of walking in a,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that, if it's that low, then I guess they can't have a sign there. They'd have to find it somewhere else.
yep, they have to do a wall sign.
Right, they have to do a wall sign, or conversely, if they put a pole sign next to the building, next to the railroad tracks, I mean, and the railroad tracks may have a variance, not a variance, but an easement, right? Because it's gonna have so many feet on either side of it. So they may
Okay.
use that.
So should we just leave it at 10 feet and then,
You know,
no?
I gotta leave at 11:30, so.
Right, we got to get through this. So, um, I think we leave it right now. We discussed it as 10 feet, but if you think of something offline and want to bring it forth to Lori and Bob on reasons why to change it,
Mhm.
what do you think about that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Wonder if we can go up to 4.
Sure.
So I think these two sentences mean the same thing, and I don't care which sentence we use, but I think we only need to say it once.
Well, I think under the underlined, it specifically says no sign will or shall, which I think is important because we're getting a lot more of that now. And they're just adding and adding and adding. I mean, you
So
see,
I'd suggest just deleting the first sentence.
I think the no shine shall move or flash or be designed to attract the eye. That came from the industrial section, so I think we brought it up because let's see. Yeah, that's number C of the industrial section. So, yeah, I think we were discussing all the moving flashing signs. No sign shall,
Right, but you're just saying it says the same thing twice.
right. But it doesn't say anything about animated signs.
So then
It
just say
moves.
no sign shall move, flash, or be animated.
Okay.
Because I think that's designed to attract the eye by intermittent or repeated motions is the same thing as animated in my mind, but
well, now you got Mo's has an actual animated sign.
Let's check more signs. The sign shall move, flash. You said be animated? All right, that includes it, all of it. Oh,
Mhm.
now we're getting rid of the prohibited.
Well,
yeah,
which is,
but no and prohibited means the same thing.
Right,
so when you're viewing it, which is stronger?
right. which is stronger, Bob. If we're trying to stop all these flashing signs. I mean, there already says they're not supposed to be flashing, but all over town, there are more and more flashing signs.
I'd like to see where they are.
Oh, my God.
Send me the
Rich-
list.
Okay, Richdale, they flash a new one, the smoke shop.
They got-
Personally, I think language as is covers it. Like, why change it?
Well, I think attract the eye by intermittent or repeated motion is more defining. Even though you're saying it's flashing or moving, all
That's
the,
subjective, though.
right. So if as much as it's redundant, I think some of the redundancies,
How about flashing, moving, animated signs, and signs designed to attract the eye by intermittent or repeated motions are prohibited.
like it.
Yeah. All right. I can try to move this fast now that I know we're like under pressure here to finish this. And then I'll fix it up after.
I think Laurie did a great job. That was a good save, Laurie.
So flashy moving and animated signs designed to attract the eye are permitted. I'll fix that after.
And just,
Okay, so when
yeah,
Mark and I,
do flashing, moving, comma, animated,
Yeah,
comma.
take the end out of it in front of
right,
it.
I guess I have to keep thinking what was there and what we're adding with the strikeouts and the
Oh.
flashy moving, animated signs.
And signs designed to
Yeah.
attract the eye are prohibited. So eliminate the period after motions.
Okay, so Mark and I thought would take out the sign shall not be made of vinyl in any district because what vinyl is a plastic and we have all these plastic signs.
Plus, you've got some of those temporary signs are made of like a sheet vinyl. Or
This is
vinyl
something
covered.
we're adding, but
This
now
is-
we'll delete it.
Hmm.
Just for now, if we want to go back and go another year about plastic signs, we could. Okay,
9, I'm really confused by the new sentence.
Oh.
Specifically, the portion that says, and no portion of the sign shall be located within the airspace above any other abutting property.
you know what I was trying to do? Is there's a section, page 7, 115, called location. I was trying to take the location ones and put it under the basic requirements. So instead of making a new bullet for location, I was adding it to this construction. Like, yeah, page 115, we already say that. A freestanding sign shall be permitted only when erected on the property which it is advertised, and no portion of the sign shall be located within the airspace above any other abutting property.
The
So,
thing with that is that if it's within the airspace of above any other abutting property, okay? That means the sign is not located on the property that's being advertised.
mhm.
So it's a redundancy in the same sentence. You get the two identical ideas in the same sentence.
This is already in the bylaw. I was just moving it to a different location.
Yeah.
But if it's
having-
confusing to people, I
delete
don't have to do it.
Yeah, because you're already saying it has to be on the property. So if it's over the airspace of another property, then it's not on the property.
Yeah, but this is already wording in our bylaw. Like I'm not changing any wording.
Right.
I was just changing the location of where the wording is.
So
I
you're
was trying to
deleting
make
it from the other spot then?
I was deleting it from the other spot. See the whole section on 115 that's called location? I was trying to take that location spot and move it into the basic requirements. But we don't have to. I can go back to where it is. But I was just trying to make it easy because no one ever goes to that location section. So some of the sections we have in this bylaw are confusing because it's stuck at the back.
Yeah. So you might as well just reword it to, while you're doing this.
Yeah, we could reword it while we're doing it. If Bob and Laura, if you want to look into it, but if I showed all my markups, I mentioned that is already wording that's in the location area.
Yeah, but I don't see where you're, oh, okay, now I see.
Location A. Page 7, 115, number 2A.
Yeah, I think, to me, it just says the same thing. So, I like to keep it simple, stupid, and not repeat.
So I guess my question is, do we delete it from the location area and move it under the basic requirements and reword it at the same time? Or should, for this year, just leave the location area alone? And I'll just leave it as is.
Was this the only question about location?
No, I took all of those. I took the whole location section and moved it into the basic requirements.
That probably makes it easier to find.
Yeah, because we never find it. I never knew where the section was where it said it couldn't be attached to a roof, but it was under the location section. So now it's easier if you just move it into the basic requirements.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah, I just think maybe Laurie and Bob can have a chance at rewording it to be clearer, less
Yeah.
redundant.
Yep. So we'll just leave that, and if you guys want to reword it. Plastic signs is the next one. We had that added from last year. Plastic signs excluding sandwich board signs and temporary banners are specifically prohibited in the downtown. I don't know. Like, I definitely, Shrewsbury and other towns eliminated plastic signs in their downtown. But I would need a definition for what is a plastic sign? Like, are the lights on a Vidya and CVS considered plastic signs? Are Michelle's, are there box backlit signs? Are those plastic signs? I guess,
See, as an engineer, I would call the high density urethane signs plastic. So,
I don't even know what high density urethane is.
well, that's what the town signs are going to be made of,
Oh,
but it's a plastic. So,
No,
yeah.
you can make the argument anything made out of an oil-based product is plastic.
yeah.
No,
I would question the removal or the addition, question the removal of temporary banners. Occasionally I get people, where we got a building permit, we're working on the inside of the building. We want to put up a temporary banner saying we're going to open on January 1st. Those do require a permit. They're limited to 15 square feet.
Well, I'm
And
thinking we remove this whole number 14 until we figure out what we mean by plastic signs.
okay,
I don't know. I think it's gonna trip us up at town meeting. Because there's too many things that fall under plastic signs.
good point.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would just delete it. I think this will make the sign bylaw tank.
I do too. I think we can go back and like break down which signs we really don't want to see downtown, but we have to be more specific than just plastic.
okay,
The next
Yeah.
one, so I don't know if you've seen the Tazo sign.
Yep.
quite often.
It's neon.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's attractive.
It is, but it should be on the inside of their building and not at the window. You'll have all those
But this,
liquor signs, everything that's liquor. You go down the street to the liquor store and there's, I don't know, 20 different neon signs because the companies give it to them. That look is not the look I think we want in our area. I may be wrong, but it gets bigger and louder and more ridiculous to see all these new neon signs when you drive through at night. They're all blinking or they're all shining out, and I don't think it's an attractive look.
Sure makes it easy to find the place, though.
I know, it's so hard to find a place that's not changed in years.
but there are some real tasteful neon signs, like
Yeah,
that's kind
Ted's
of
Montana
classic,
Grill. I love that sign.
old-fashioned look. Like, you know, the barbers and restaurants, I've seen them, like the Tazo. I mean, is it really all neon signs or just specific neon signs you have a problem with?
I do specifically because then people are going to say, "Oh, you don't like my taste." You can't specify that only good-looking neon signs are allowed. So that means because
Well,
You
well,
can in the sign bylaw, I mean, in the sign guidelines, though. Like, why eliminate all neon signs when there are some very nice examples of neon signs?
because there's some very, very bad examples of neon signs. For the same reason you would put it in, you could take it out. If you think going down to, what is it, where across from Rockies, that liquor store that we allowed to go in there and they took up 2 spaces, since day one, they've had every window covered with multicolors, multi this, multi that. It looks awful. And it also takes away from the other businesses that are in that mall. So as you see somebody else having them, then you start to see them all sprinkled. Now we have a smoke or whatever it is, vape at the Richdale. Richdale's got blinking lights around it. It's got vape. It's got all this other stuff. So how do you say to them, well, you can't have neon because it's not tasteful, but boy, Taz's we like. It's a beautiful sign. Put it on there.
Taz's is inside anyway, isn't it?
It should be on the inside of their wall.
Yeah, but it's on the inside of the window. So because it's a sign, and we wouldn't allow them to put a sign on their roof.
I went in there and I'd spent a half hour with him after a 2-hour design. And I showed him where he could put a sign out and hang it underneath Richdale's. And he wasn't interested. He said, I don't really care about signs. They don't help my business because I'm online for most of my business. So because of Taza, I would not go bend the rules just because he has a cute little round sign. Right now, we have a Coca-Cola sign at the Northborough House of Pizza in neon. It's like everything else. You start letting one in and then they all start coming in because you can't differentiate.
I just have a quick question. If the sign is hanging in the window, does that constitute part of the window sign?
No,
No?
no.
And if it's inside, is it exposed
If it's in front of plate glass, it is.
to the weather? I don't know what you mean
Well,
by.
what you're proposing, inside, including a window, are not considered exposed.
What would you call the neon that's gone now for open? They use that for open. They use it for buying lottery tickets. They use it for cigarettes.
If it's open and closed and hours and things like that, those are allowed by right.
With neon,
Doesn't say one way or another.
I've never thought that neon was the way to do that.
Yeah, like the barber, I'm looking at the picture right now and they have a neon open sign.
That's new. That's what I'm saying. You start letting one do it, then they all start doing it. And
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Is
I've
that
been
really
seeing
a
those my whole
problem,
life.
though?
I mean, yeah, exposed neon, and they have faux neon now, which is LED, that looks pretty much the same.
well, I guess it's down to how you want things to look. I don't particularly like seeing all sorts of liquor signs hanging in every inch of the window. I don't think that's even allowed in our bylaws, but the more you tend it to have it be there, then you're going to have even more signs like vape and everything else. So you have to make that determination of what your appearance is going to be.
I do.
Okay,
I do
but
think we have to talk about that too, like, because actually I don't think the neon signs are allowed right now, but they're everywhere. But I don't know how I feel about them or not, but
It's very difficult to get true neon signs. Most of the signs you see are LED tubes. That's not saying that there are some legitimate neon signs, but those artists are not real common anymore. Most of the signs you're seeing that look like neon is an LED tube.
Well, then we should describe that too and not just call them neon.
well, that's why I added the or the equivalent in here.
I mean, they've not been allowed, I don't think, we're already doing awnings, you're opening up the door, let certain things see how they play out, but those type of signage pieces don't lend themselves to a quaint New England village, in my estimation.
right now, if I deleted this one, like we're saying no sign shall be illuminated by neon. If this was eliminated, we don't allow them anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like if I can delete it because it's gonna cause grief at town meeting. But if I do delete it, they're not even allowed anyways, as far as I know.
Where does it say that they're not allowed?
Well, according to our bylaws, if not permitted, it's prohibited. So if we don't allow them anywhere,
We have box signs and those are fluorescent.
What do you mean box signs?
Like Northwell House of Pizza. It's a light up sign with fluorescent tubes probably lighting it.
Are they internally lit?
Yeah.
Those are supposed to be not allowed any longer. That's there because it's grandfathered.
Yeah, that bylaw didn't pass.
That bylaw didn't pass?
No,
No,
so
we ended
we
up
allow
just-
internally lit signs.
I don't even think we brought that bylaw forward. The first one Bill Pierce brought forward was just defining internally and externally. And then maybe it didn't pass. I don't know. We've done this so many
Yeah, it
years.
was the year before in 22, it failed. And that was one of the major reasons why it failed.
Can I jump in just real quick, folks? It is 11:45. We've been meeting since 9. I'm 20 minutes late to a restaurant inspection, so I'm gonna have to bow out, and I'll be happy to answer questions via email or talk to Lori, and Lori and I can work anything out, but I've got to get going. All right. So,
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
okay, thank you very much. Appreciate.
Yeah, thanks. I think we should call it here too, because it is almost 12 o'clock.
'Cause I got
Um,
15 minutes late too.
but we're gonna have to focus on this neon, like maybe I'll send an email, like we can delete this neon and then we won't have any heartache at town meeting, but if this comes out, I think it already is considered prohibitive. Because we have all our bylaws, if it's not permitted, then it's prohibited, so I don't know. I'll have to look into that and anyone else can look into it too.
I wouldn't eliminate it at this point. Start from here the next time we discuss it. So start.
Okay. Everybody go home and think about your thoughts on neon.
Well,
I'm already home.
I have no thoughts. I don't think mine are
No,
gonna.
I already have Mark's and Lisa's thoughts on it. I don't know how I feel. I mean, I feel like neon, like you say, Taza is great, but I do question a liquor store being able to put 15 beer signs in their window because window signs aren't supposed to advertise what's inside the building. Like any signs, our sign, like, so I don't know how that fits into the bylaws.
Well, I think there's a difference between advertising and the business's name. I mean, I like that Taza sign.
Right.
And it compensates for them not being able to put a sign on the, what I would have called a parapet,
I don't want.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity to put a sign on the pole and they didn't care about that either. So I'm
Well,
not,
you wouldn't see that anyway. So I think what they did is better. And, it's Americana, it's,
okay, I gotta go. I'm gonna see you all. I'm gonna redo that letter a little bit and have it ready for the meeting.
And I see what Mark's saying too, is like, it's not advertising a product, it's advertising the business. So those are different.
Yeah.
So, but we'll have to look into it further. It's more than we can do today.
All right, I'm gonna go.
I'm
Lori,
gonna make a motion to adjourn.
let me ask Lori, what do you have for time to do this letter redo?
I can work on that right now and send it to you. It's just a little wordsmithing. It's nothing major.
All right, so, because I just gotten a text from Mitch to get what he needs for that, so. All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, everybody.
I'll second it. Roll call vote. Lisa Maselli,
Aye.
Mark McManamy,
I.
and I'm an aye. All right, thanks, everybody.